My next guest is our speaker is Kane County Sheriff Pat Perez.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Pat Perez. I am your current Kane County Sheriff. I have held the position since December 1 of 2006. A little family history. My father was a 34-year law enforcement professional. He was a 21-year veteran with the Aurora Police Department, retired as a lieutenant, and was brought up to Kane County by former Sheriff George Kramer as his undersheriff. And when George Kramer was voted out of office and John Randall came in, he kept my father across party lines. And I think that spoke volumes about my father's character. Not to slight my mother. My father passed away 11 years ago, God rest his soul. My mother is 88 years old, still kicking. We have a standing lunch date every Wednesday. And trust me, I stay in line because I don't want to disappoint her. I'm very happily married. My wife Terry is a nurse's aide at Copley Hospital in Aurora. And I have two sons, Stephen, 23, and Gabe, 20. And I am very proud to stand before you and tell you last Saturday night, our 20-year-old son, Gabe, asked my wife and I to sit down with him. Said, I have something to tell you. January 1st, I'm enlisting in the Army. We're very proud of him. Obviously, Mom didn't take the news as good as Dad. I very much value and respect the position that I've been given by the people. Being in law enforcement is an entirely different situation. With me being in the political realm, yes, I have to jump into the political realm to get to where I want to be or to stay here, but politics have no business in law enforcement. When we arrest people, I have never in my career said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. Oh, by the way, are you a Democrat or Republican? And conversely, when all of you call 911, you don't ask for a Democrat or Republican. You ask for a police officer, firefighter, or paramedic. And at that point, I think the main concern is how fast can you get here. So it's a big responsibility. Kane County has 550,000 residents. It's 540 square miles. I have 320 employees. County jail. We have to provide public safety for all of the unincorporated areas of Kane County. And that comes out to about 80,000, 85,000 residents. And we have to provide security in all the courthouses in Kane County. You probably aren't aware of this, but there are 6 locations that I have to provide security. The Judicial Center on Route 38 in St. Charles, the old 3rd Street Courthouse in Geneva, the Aurora Branch Court, the Elgin Branch Court, Carpentersville has a branch court, and actually the State Appellate Court in Elgin is also my responsibility. So those are some very large tasks. We have a $24 million annual budget. I know that sounds like a lot, but when you consider how many people we have, vehicles are a lifeblood for us, that we have to have squad cars, we have to have transportation vans to transport inmates from our jail to the state prisons when they're sentenced and to their court dates when they have to go to court at one of the branch courts. I've been very, very respectful of the money that's been allocated to me. This year, 2 of my 3 budgets are going to come in under budget, my public safety budget and my court security. My jail budget, we had to do an amendment, and I got beat up pretty bad for a few months because I was accused of being $575,000 over budget until a month ago when the county board and the board chairman admitted they knew I had 124 corrections officers, but they only funded me for 107. Now, for 3 months, I got beat up and was called a bad manager. That I miscalculated. I took all those arrows, and in the end, if you calculate the 17 positions that I was not funded for, multiply that by their wages and their benefits, that's the $575,000 that I was short. So we do have a way that we're going to remedy $380,000 of it. We're given a fund from the federal government called SCAP. It's a State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. and that is a federal funding that we receive that is a reimbursement for housing criminal aliens. So that 575 has been diminished by 380,000 as of last week. So we're going to come real close to being on budget across the board. 2 years ago, we made a big move. For those of you that remember, we used to be right down the road here on Fabian Parkway, 777 East Fabian. We moved from that facility to our current facility on Route 38 in St. Charles. We're now adjoined to the courthouse so that we no longer have to transport prisoners to court in that courthouse. We have a tunnel that connects us, and we walk them over. It's much safer for the people that are in the outside world. You don't have to worry about escapes, and it's much more cost effective because we're not spending money on fuel to transport the inmates back and forth. We did not have to interrupt our service to the public one day. We made that entire move without ever closing our doors and saying, I'm sorry, we're not open today because we're moving. And that comes from a very, very dedicated staff, and it comes from very detailed planning. And the other part of it that, trust me, I stress very heavily over was moving the inmates. Raise your hand if you think that was an easy task. We moved 511 inmates in one night. We started the first load at 11:45 in the evening and brought the last bus load in at 5:45 in the morning. Without a problem, without a hitch. Everything went according to plan. And I still have a CDL license from many years ago, and I drove one of the buses just so I could say, don't make me stop this bus. So we, as an agency, I'll wrap this up, we've been awarded twice in the last 4 years the Stars of Distinction Award by the Chicago Crime Commission for our participation in gang and narcotic enforcement cases. One was a case in Aurora that the FBI, the Aurora Police Department, and our agency worked together to take 33 Latin King gang members off the street on cold case homicides. And the other was a case that we did a year ago where we had a drug case that had come from California to Illinois, and long story short, a guy got shot twice and left for dead out on Kesslinger Road, and he lived, and he talked, and we were able to make arrests, and those arrests parlayed into a 240-pound marijuana bust, and we took 2 more guns off the street and took an attempted murderer off the street. Recently, we just hit a farmhouse out on Meredith Road in Maple Park and took 6 kilograms of cocaine off the street, which is a lot, and $1.2 million cash. So we are fighting every day. I'm working with a reduced workforce. 2 years ago, I had 95 sworn. Today, I have 85. I'm working with 10 fewer people. But I've reduced upper management staff. I've reduced commander positions. I've eliminated captain positions. The last 3 lieutenants that retired from our agency, I did not replace because I understood the economy was bad. I didn't sacrifice our deputies at the ground level. I sacrificed the top end.